having a great week. I've been too many birthday parties and celebrations and Thanksgiving and lots of family, catching up with people I haven't seen in like 10 years in some cases. How was your guys' Thanksgiving? I'll start with you, Sheets, and we'll go over to Rody. And what do you think about this slate?
Thanksgiving was really good. Had a good night in basketball last night. Hopefully the scribes were on it. I basically was all over that overtime game, every which way, and made some money there.
Beautiful.
And the football for today, I think I'm prepared rather nicely for the few key bits of news that are going to be piling in. But I have Thanksgiving was really good. And also, for those didn't see our previous shows since Thanksgiving, Big Sweat is their Circa Survivor pool thing, which is down to 40 people, 6 million for first, and they released the picks for this week, and we got like incredible leverage. We have Baltimore, and we were expecting of the 40 people, maybe like 8 of them to take Baltimore, and we only 4 of them took them, 3 aside from us, and that was huge. And a bunch of people made some terrible plays. A lot of people are on New England, so we have to, want to try to get them to lose somehow, which is not going to happen. And then we're going to try to get some people are on Philly, some people are on Cincy. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. So the good thing is our action isn't until later tonight, so we get to sit back and anti-sweat all day long, and then just kind of just hope that we get lucky with Baltimore tonight. But I'm ready for fantasy whenever you want to get into it.
Yeah, it sounds great, man. That's freaking exciting. That's pretty amazing. It's a real thing right there. That's 6 million is no joke. Rody, how you doing today? What's happening with your Thanksgiving? And then let's jump into the slate.
Oh yeah, man. Had a good Thanksgiving. It was good. It was good to see everybody. COVID. A lot of us we haven't seen some of the people in a couple years. So it was good. Just real chill. A lot of driving for me, but it's whatever. We got a new puppy on Friday too.
Hey,
so we've been really busy over here at the household. So sorry we missed the pick show this week, guys. We couldn't really squeeze it in.
Yeah, it was a rough week
on my part. So yeah, let's just get to it today and give all the good plays out today.
All right, let's talk about it because I feel like we have a bunch of stackable potential situations, and I think there's a bunch of games that there's some good games on this slate, and yet I'm finding myself gravitating towards some of the crappy games, I guess you'd call it, like as my draw. I really like the Jets and Houston game, which I don't know what's the matter with me. It sounds weird to say out loud, but that's the truth. I think you're going to have a pretty chalky Tampa Bay Indy situation. I really like the Cincinnati side of that Pittsburgh game, just the receivers especially. I think the Chargers in Denver. I really like the Denver side actually in that game. I'm just going to always keep attacking. We play the Chargers a lot, but I think that people haven't been necessarily just attacking the Chargers nearly as much as they should be, especially tight ends have just absolutely just been demolishing this team in the running games. Obviously we have my Rams against Rody's Packers, and then we've got Minnesota, San Francisco. So there's a lot of stuff to like on we have less games today. So Rody, I'm going to start with you. What games are you targeting the most? Where do you find like your heaviest? What are you trying to what's your plan of attack for?
Yeah, I like some of the games you just talked about, but obviously I'm going to be heavy on the Chargers this week. I really think they got some big upside. You know where the ball's going. You got Eckler, you got Allen, you got Mike Williams at 5,700 on DK. I really like.
Yep.
Jared Cook at 3K on tight end. You can go there. I don't like the Denver side as much because I don't know where the ball is going to go. Judy, Sutton, Fant, they spread it around a little bit more. It's kind of condensed to those guys, but Tim Patrick catches that touchdown all the time, and you don't have him ever. It's like, oh, come on. But Fant, I really like today, guys. If you're going to play someone from Denver, Judy's cheap though too. They're real cheap, so you can kind of work them into the stack. I think it's a nice game to target. The Green Bay Rams games are, our teams, but like the guys are so priced up. I don't know where to go. You got the Dylan news with Jones coming up here. So you got that going on. I do like Jamar Chase, and I like that Bengals side that Bobby just talked about. One play I like to run it back there with is like a Najee Harris. I really like him. I think he can explode today. And then you got the Bengals stack on the other side. So yeah, definitely. Those are the games I'm kind of targeting and trying to fit those guys in my builds.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Sheets, how about you? What games are you targeting the most? And then are there any real standout connections, quarterback to receiver or anything, running back versus, secondary stack, whatever, Who are you looking at the most?
First of all, I just want to say from the standpoint of preparation, I just want to let you know what I've got going on. So I have 4 different builds all ready to go, and depending on news, and some of the news I'm not going to have. So I think the 2 key pieces that I'm waiting on still, one I'm going to be waiting on for a while, and that's going to be the Aaron Jones news. Because unfortunately that game starts at 4, and I have one set of builds with Aaron Jones in, one set of builds with Aaron Jones out, because obviously if Aaron Jones out, then Dylan just is kind of a smash, at least projection wise. Okay. The other pivot point, believe it or not, for me is whether or not Cordell Patterson plays for Atlanta. Not so much because I want to play Mike Davis or anything like that, but I do actually have about 20% Patterson in one build that I have. So I have to see where that's going to be. Now that's going to be a 1:00 game. So what I have is I have 4 different builds. I have a Patterson Jones build, I have a Patterson Dillon build, you know what I mean, etc. And unfortunately, I'm not going to have the Dillon news probably until late. But I am going to wait on the Patterson news as late as possible, and I have the builds ready to plug in. Now, with respect to the teams, yeah, I mean the teams that you mentioned, I have some of all that: Tampa, Houston, the Denver side. But the team that I have in my big one right now, and I have them, a good 15% overall, is actually the Giants. So I really like the Daniel Jones with Galladay and Barkley. This way you could play Goddard on the other side, and I actually like that a lot actually. So that's the other team that you didn't mention that I'm gonna have a lot of. But I'm actually a little light on the Chargers this week, just for no reason. Just that's where I am. Yet I got like 100% Keenan Allen, so
Right.
it's that's just where I'm at right now. Anything on the Giants with you guys or not really?
I like the Giants. I like Galladay and Saquon specifically. I didn't come up with many Daniel Jones in my lineups.
Okay.
But I absolutely can get behind it. I mean, I don't feel like all these. I mean, I don't feel like there's a huge gap. Like there's one game that's such an obvious standout to me that I think you need to play it. But I really like I do like that. There's a couple of low-owned plays that I like in the the Minnesota San Francisco game. It's funny because I heard a lot of people talking about how this game was going to be chalky this week, and then I look at the actual projected ownership of the players, and really doesn't seem to be the case. And I like both sides of this. Unfortunately, these are 2 teams that I think are really good, but that's a game I'm going to be pretty heavily focused on. That San Francisco Minnesota situation, and like I said, I do like Saquon, and I do like Galladay quite a bit. But I'm absolutely loving the late San Francisco Minnesota game. I really like Ayuk. I know it's a little dangerous because, like I say about these teams, they're both just better teams, I think, than maybe most people think. They could be in very different positions, and this is a really important game for both teams. But Jefferson Ayuk, that combination, or Cook Ayuk, something like that, I feel like is something I might want to do some business with. And so let's talk about some positions. There's a lot of running back plays. I think that you're going to get a pretty chalky Christian McCaffrey, and I love Christian McCaffrey. You've got a high floor, you've got a high ceiling. I am not going to be playing Jonathan Taylor today, for what it's worth. I think he's actually going to get a little bit of ownership. The guys I'm interested at the top are actually the guy that Rody mentioned is Najee Harris at running back, and Dalvin Cook are my 2 spend ups at running back. Then we just have a slew of guys in this mid tier that I'm going to be mixing in. I hate the feeling that Miles Sanders chalk. He's 5,100. Ty Johnson, that makes me a little nervous for the Jets, but I love James Robinson, but he's going to be really popular. So I like this mid tier of the running backs. What are you guys doing at running back? I'll start with you, Rody, and then jump over to Sheets. I really like. I mean, I feel like I'm a little more spread out at running back than usual, but I'm not. I am spending up on the guys I'm spending up on is where I'm going to be a little bit different and not playing, Jonathan Taylor at all, and maybe just playing a very minimal amount, if any, Christian McCaffrey. And it makes me nervous, but that's where I'm at right now. Rody, where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, I like I don't really get to those spend ups as much. I do like some of the mid tier guys, like Eckler. I like in that game at 8.4, Najee at 8.2. You got James Robinson at 6.2. I think he's in a smash spot today. I like Saquon at 6.3. You talked about. I didn't get to talk about that game, but yeah, Sheets, that Philly game. I I actually have a Jones and Hurts stack. I went on both sides of it. I do have a little Ingram. I do have a little Saquon. I like Ertz and Goddard pairing a little bit. I do have a little bit of that game. So I'm kind of tending to those running backs. I'm really big on Dylan today. If he's a go, I'm getting some Sanders in that game on the Eagles because he's 5-1 on DK. And another guy didn't mention. In that San Francisco Minnesota game, I do like Ayuk, Jefferson pairing and Adam Thielen, but another guy, don't forget Eli Mitchell. I know he's questionable.
He's playing.
Is he good?
Yeah,
I think he's playing too.
Yeah, so he's another guy you can get different at low ownership if you guys really looking milli winner type build. But yeah, those are pretty much the guy. Oh, and Myles Gaskin in that game, and he's pretty chalky, but at 5'6", he's viable for a cheap guy.
Yeah, and we have Patterson active now. I'm going to say what's up in the chat to K9 Bronco, X Factor. What's up, guys? Tony A will answer the questions in just a minute. But Sheets, who are you looking at some of your running back plays?
Yeah, my top owned running back on DraftKings is Saquon Barkley. I have like 40% of him. And then I am going to eat some of the McCaffrey chalk. I guess I'll sort of be over the field. Yeah, if I have 35%, that's over the field, right? So I got a bunch of that, and I have 35% James Robinson as well. So those are the three, and then the rest are kind of sprinkly. You know what I mean? I have 20% Fournette, 12% Henderson, 10%, as I mentioned, Patterson. I have I do like the Eli Mitchell play. So I have like 10, 15% of him. But the main guys, I don't have as much Gaskin as some people do. But
yeah, same zero Gaskin for me.
Yeah, so for me, it's Saquon City, and then McCaffrey, Robinson, and those are the top guys. Then Fournette would be the next one.
Yeah, and answering a question from K9 Bronco about the favorite on FanDuel, favorite quarterback wide receiver.
I could do FanDuel if you want. I would say if you wanted me to do FanDuel separately, I would do that.
No, I'm happy. He's just asking for the favorite QB wide receiver combo on FanDuel, and unfortunately, I don't have on DraftKings as much interest in the Chargers side, but I think on FanDuel it's really hard to ignore the price of Herbert and Allen combined, right?
Yeah.
And it's chalky, but that is like a baseline of what I think you can do, and I think you can get different in plenty of different ways. So I really like that personally. Rody, anything specific on FanDuel that you like, maybe a little bit different? I know those you love those Chargers, so I'm guessing that they're going to pop for you as well.
Yeah, I got mostly Charger stacks on FanDuel, to be honest with you. I'm only playing a couple lineups over there, so I just kind of went like a blitz 222 with the Chargers, and you can get Godwin, go to Goddard over there. Fant's probably good at tight end over there in FanDuel.
Yep.
I know you probably liked him in that game, so he's definitely a good play to get different. Anybody playing Kyle Pitts in that game? He's still chalky. You guys on him at all?
I like Kyle Pitts, but I feel like there's a lot of good tight end plays that I like at sort of like lower ownership, and maybe I'm giving Jacksonville a little too much credit for playing a little better defense lately. But like Pitts versus Kittle is an interesting conversation, but I really like this weird like mid-ish tier. Like I like the Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert, Freiermuth combination. Those three guys are the guys I'm finding in most of my lineups.
I really like that too, Bobby. So yeah, that tier, I'm not getting up to the top there. So that's why I was questioning what you guys had going there.
Yeah. How about you, Sheets?
My top owned tight end is Pharaoh Brown.
Going straight, bottom of the barrel with Pharaoh Brown.
I mean, Houston had, whatever it is.
No, I like the game.
And then second is Goddard. This is DraftKings. Second is Goddard 15%, and then the third is if you didn't like the Pharaoh Brown dumpster play, I got the Josiah DeGuara from Green Bay at 15%.
I love you bringing these names out. Are we better off with these guys, or are we better playing Jared Cook? What do you think, Brody?
I got Jared Cook is probably my cheapest one.
Yeah.
I never thought about it, but I could use a couple extra $100 in some of my lineups. So maybe I should go with a Pharaoh Brown and go with Sheets call there.
When Sheets has the weird, like the guy actually projects good, like, but no one's gonna play him. I'm always kind of interested because Sheets has had a couple of multi-touchdown calls on these types of plays, and I could throw in a Pharaoh Brown or two. But I really like that 4K range.
Dude, this is the year, dude. This is the year of the tight end.
I know.
It is crazy.
I know. And boy, I still can't get over that one on Thursday. All right. What about the some of these, like, okay, we have some popular quarterbacks that I think are a little suspect, but one of them I like the Houston Jets game. And look, I've always been a Tyrod Taylor guy. I mean, you want a guy who can get you 20 fantasy points who's cheap, 5.3K on DraftKings. I like the Tyrod Taylor to Brandon Cooks. I know it's like Cooks is going to be pretty popular, but like I don't think that many people are playing Taylor. You run it back with Jamison Crowder or Ty Johnson. It's a really, really good cheap stack that you can get some really strong secondary stacks with. So I like the Tyrod Taylor spend down. I'm not finding any of myself on this Cam Newton thing, just like I'm not finding the Gaskin thing. I just can't quite bring myself to get there. Maybe I'm too worried about ceiling, and I want to start with Rhodey and then jump over to Sheets. But I'm having trouble like just clicking that button. I just would rather play Tyrod Taylor. I don't even know for sure that Cam Newton, like, I wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't play all the snaps at quarterback. I really wouldn't at all. So I don't know. I'm just a little. I even think, like, as gross as it sounds, like if we're gonna play Cam Newton, like maybe we consider a little bit of Ben Roethlisberger. He's 5,200. He's in a pretty good spot, and 20 fantasy points from your quarterback is going to be, I think, good enough at these price tags. And there is some ceiling of these guys going completely nuts. So where are you guys standing on these cheap quarterbacks? Start with you, Rhodey, and then jump over to Sheets.
Yeah, I haven't really got down too cheap. I'm definitely agree with you on Cam Newton call. Tyrod Taylor, I do like. I think you can. I like Cooks and Crowder in that game. I think that's a cheap stack. You can go. I kind of like that. I might give me one of those. I do have the Daniel Jones cheap one quarterback. I don't have any, other cheap. I mean, Roethlisberger is cheap against, since he's gave up some big scores, but I don't know. I like some of those other guys if you're going to go there. You can even play Garoppolo. You said you like that game a little bit. There's some cheap stack options there. Debo looks good. Ayuk I really like today. Stack up that game. So there's some cheap. These guys. I mean, nobody's playing Carson Wentz either in that other side of that game. So you can definitely go with some of these cheap stacks if you guys are stacking the $3 20 max or the $20 milli. Grab some of these guys. Hope they get to 25, 30. That's a good enough. And then just get some big. You can get your CMC, Najee Harris in there. You can get some cheaper guys or expensive guys with those cheap stacks. So
yeah, absolutely.
I do think they're viable for large MME type.
I totally agree. How about you, Sheets, for the cheap quarterbacks? Where do you side?
Yeah, no, and again with the disclaimer that I always like view quarterbacks as a function of their receivers, right?
Right.
But nonetheless, I got a bunch of these guys. I mean, I got like, well, I'll start with the fact that my highest owned on DraftKings is Tom Brady, at 20%. But aside from that, I'm spread out. I mean, I got 15% Tyrod Taylor, 15% the aforementioned Bridgewater, Daniel Jones I mentioned, Wentz, the Rhodey just mentioned. I have a couple of Trevor Lawrences in there. Atlanta isn't exactly the steel curtain. I have some Zach Wilson on the other side of the Jets game. I have two lineups total. That's 5% with Cam Newton. I really don't even want either of them. I don't really like that. Yeah, I think all quarterbacks are well priced, are good prices this week. You know what I mean? Like I don't think you go wrong with any of them really.
Yeah, and I personally am a fan of that Bridgewater. I didn't mention that one before, but I like the Bridgewater. I know it's hard to try and pick out exactly who to go to. Like I watch the Chargers play, I feel like every week because for DFS purposes we're interested. I've got a lot of friends that are Chargers fans, and the one thing that they feel like the game could turn into what we used to call the Steelers, the Coors Field of football. And I feel like we need to attack those type of situations. So I actually think that even with these options, they're cheap options. You could play a Fant, a Fant and Judy, a Judy, a Sutton. And yeah, every now and then you're going to get the Tim Patrick, vulture touchdown or whatever. But I'm willing to soak up, to say whatever to some of that stuff. I think that game could get a little wild. The Chargers and Broncos have a history of playing really, really low scoring and duddish type of games that are close and really, really high scoring games that are really close. Like it's the weirdest combinations. Like I feel like there's no in between with these teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if that game completely shoots out and I really get the low on Bridgewater. Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, let me just say, I mean, I don't want to talk you off anything, but again, this might be overanalyzed, but I'll just throw in Warren Sharp tweeted about something, which take it for what it's worth, but apparently Teddy Bridgewater's efficiency against the cover 6 is like really, really super weak, and that's what Chargers like to play. I mean, whatever that means.
Sure.
So you can throw that in, and I personally can't. I mean, I'm having Bridgewater here, and these Chargers. You tell me that these games could shoot out. I can't remember the last time a game in Denver shot out in like late November, but you could be right. I feel as though this game is more likely to be duddy, but I'm going to have a bunch of it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small slate. You know what I mean?
No, I think it's good stuff that you're dropping. I really do.
Remember, it's getting cold out there everywhere, and this is where this is what Cardi talks about a lot. You talk about the dome and the weather and stuff. Remember, the later it goes in the season, the more that matters. Relative to the rest of the slate. So, I mean, like if you have a chance to play something, I don't even know which game I'm talking about, but like something good in the dome, and why go freaking play the snow game in Denver? I don't even know if it's going to be snow. You know what I mean? Or why go play the game with 10 degrees in Buffalo, if it exists, when you can just get a game in the dome where you just have that much more of an edge in late November, early December than you would early. Now, again, this might not be the actual slate to benefit from that, but that's just something to keep in mind.
Right, and you've got a game in San Francisco where it's actually I know those games can we joke about San Francisco being cold all the time, but actually where they play it's not like they're playing at the old Candlestick anymore. So
right.
It's a little better for the wind and all that stuff, and it's just not a decent weather game. The Indy game obviously stands out as a game that's in a dome that sort of fits that criteria of things that you're talking about looking at. Rody, let's jump over to you for a little bit. Like we talked about some good combos, but separately outside of your stacks, are there individual receivers? Like I personally I'm not playing Garoppolo, even though I'm interested in both receivers, but I really like Brandon Ayuk, and I'm not exactly sure why people aren't really into this play. If you watch the Niners play recently, I mean, like, yeah, he might be 10% owned. I think this guy could absolutely break the slate, and he's going to break one really soon. And I love him in this spot. It always is tough with San Francisco because they can do a million different things, and they'll run, they'll run the ball 35 times in a row if they want to. They do weird things, but I just think Ayuk is a really, really strong play at his price point, at fairly low ownership. Who are some of maybe the off the board wide receivers, Rody, that you're looking at, and then I'll jump over to you, Sheets.
Yeah, I definitely like Ayuk. 5,300 is a good play. Even Debo in that game's priced up, but he's chalky. I mean, if you really think this Cam Newton thing's a thing, you can go with DJ Moore. Maybe Cam doesn't actually rush the ball for touchdowns. He throws some, and DJ Moore looked good early in the season. Maybe he starts getting some more work again. You got Jamar Chase, which I really like today. Even all those Bengals receivers in the stack with Burrow, that's kind of their cheap. Higgins, we've been kind of on those guys. Pitt hasn't lived up to it much this year, so you can go there. Devontae Smith's priced up at 6'4". I like that Philadelphia game at low ownership. Kenny Galladay, another guy you can get in that same game, but he's getting a little ownership. Mike Williams, obviously low on 5'7". The Jaguars, like Sheets talked about with Trevor Lawrence getting in some stack. I don't know. Chenault's at 4.4. You can go there, but man, he just hasn't done much this year. I really like Lawrence. I had a stack with him early in the season. I kind of like that. I do have some Jacoby Myers one-off at 5K in that game. Tennessee, last week I went all in on the defense against Tennessee, and it worked out with 16 points in Houston 2K. Worked out. So this week, I think the Patriots are looking good. I know Sheets talked about them looking a lot better. They're getting their stuff going. And I think Myers at 5K could be a play. He scored his first touchdown, recently. So maybe he keeps it going this week. So look to that. So those are some guys, Adam Thielen, lower ownership too, in that San Fran game we talked about too. So he can get a couple touchdowns. I really like him. So
I'll tell you, if you don't like the P Brown play, I got some low owned nonsense in wide receiver.
Let's get into it. Let's talk. Are we going to bring up Westbrook Akina, and we're going to talk about?
No. These are guys that people have heard of. So I'm still looking at guys who are like 5% or less. I like Jamison Crowder. I think he's good. I like Zach Pascal from the Indianapolis game. He's looking to be low on. I like Zacchaeus from Atlanta from that Jacksonville game. And yeah, I actually do have a couple of shares of the Westbrook-Akeen. But if you don't like the Lavicia Chenault, can I interest you in some Laquan Treadwell at 3K from the Jacksonville game? I have a couple of lineups with him.
Yep.
And then and those are the only low. And then I guess that's it. I do have a little Jalen Rager at 3K if you don't like to play Devontae Smith. You already mentioned Tim Patrick. He's going to be low owned, right? From that Denver game. And I have Courtland Sutton at less than 5%. So a lot of guys. I have another of this Atlanta nonsense. I got this Taji Sharp. And we didn't even talk about Tennessee. They have no receivers, right? They have no A.J. Brown.
They have no receivers. And who would have thought? I mean, it's pretty weird to see a team they're still leading the AFC, right? And they're a 7-point underdog. It's just you don't see that kind of thing very often.
No.
I actually, by the way, I still like New England to cover that. I think New England's going to beat the hell out of them. Yeah. That's just my personal take. I know that the Belichick versus why can't I think of the coach's name off the top of my head?
He's got no players to work with right now. I mean,
I know, like who are they playing with here exactly? So I'm open to the Westbrook-Akeen and Fitzpatrick. You do have Chester Rogers who could muck things up a little bit, or you could even play him. But I would lean Fitzpatrick and Westbrook a little bit ahead of him. But they're those are interesting. I like the Cincinnati receivers as well. What about some of the Rody jump in on these because you don't tend to go as low at receiver as maybe sometimes me and Sheets do. And by the way, I love the Mike Williams call. I have no idea why people aren't playing Mike Williams at 5.7. Like just Mike, that's where I feel like my range ends up at wide receiver today. A lot in the 5Ks, the Mike Williams, the Brandon Ayuk. I do like some of the spendos, but like Michael Pittman obviously is a pretty chalky one. Brandon Cooks. There's a bunch of these good receivers. Jamison Crowder at a little bit cheaper at 4,700. A little bit less interested in Chenault for me, but like T. Higgins is interesting to me. Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton at very, very low ownership. Jacoby Myers, who you mentioned earlier, Rody. But are you getting below that 5K range very much?
The only play like Crowder, but like Crowder's going to be a little chalky. I think he's going to come in higher than people think.
Okay,
he's at 8% for me now, but there's not a lot of value on this slate, guys. So like I think some of these cheaper receivers are going to get plugged in more, or the Ty Johnson play. You're going to have to play one of those cheap guys.
Speaking of which, I mean, you probably mentioned this before, but I mean, if this ownership is real, I mean, you have a very, very hot receiver right now in Elijah Moore. At 5,600. I have him at 6%. I mean, if you like that game, I mean, hell, I mean, you got.
Yeah, I was just about to say that you could always pivot to get different in there, and Elijah Moore, too, and he's been explosive lately. He's had some nice games. So
the kid's really talented. I was high on him coming into this year. The only thing that worries me a little bit, and I don't want to overreact to it, is that he really didn't have any sort of chemistry with Wilson at all, and he's done better with his other quarterbacks. And now you have Wilson coming in there, coming back, and it just they really couldn't find their stroke together. And you have some healthy receivers. Like I know there was no Corey Davis, but Jamison Crowder is still a good receiver. Keelan Cole is whatever. Berrios will get some work. There's a little bit to take away from him, but I do like Elijah Moore in general. And maybe this is the week that he puts together with Wilson. I just thought I'd point that out that like they haven't had connected in a good game together. I don't think so far this season. I don't think they've even had he's had double-digit fantasy points with him. But I do like the game, so I'm going to have some exposure there. So Rody, it sounds like you're spending mostly, in that same mid tier. They're at the really high end of receivers, and then Sheets, I'm asking you your really high end guys. You're really big spend ups, and maybe you could include just your tight ends and running backs for that matter too. Like your high end flex plays, your high end guys that you're really willing to spend a lot on this slate. Who are the ones you're most overweight on? Starting with you, Rody, and then we'll jump to Sheets.
Ooh, that's a tough question, Bobby. Right out of the rip.
Hey, we got to try and get this stuff figured out, right? We got an hour till.
Yeah, the high end guys you want to probably. I mean, people are prioritizing Godwin. I think the most. I think you got Keenan Allen, like she says, he's locking him in almost. Some of those guys. I think those are still the priority. And if we get that Dylan news, I mean, he's almost going to have to be. I got a few lineups without him, but I mean, I'm kind of thinking he's going to be in play already. So he's a priority at 6K. I like James Robinson at 6.2. I'm not prioritizing any high end guys really, like Adams or Cup. Those guys are really expensive today, and I just don't think we have the value. I'm trying to build more of a balanced approach. I'm attacking this 5K range. You got a lot of upside in this range, like Moore, Ayuk, Mike Williams. I think you guys should be targeting that. Don't be trying to play the Keelan Cole and grabbing Adams with the other side, 8-6 guy to that. I mean, Jefferson, I like in that game. I think he can be viable at 8-3. Sprinkle him in, and Chase, I think you can sprinkle him at 7-3. So those would be some of the guys I'd prioritize. But I'm very heavy on Chargers today, I think, and live or die, I think, today. I don't have that many lineups going, though, either. So
it's such a shame. How does that happen, Rody? I felt bad for you on Sunday night or was it Monday night? The Chargers and Steelers. How is this game not on the main slate? Rody would have literally been absolutely all over every part of the Chargers, and they just went completely nuts. Sheets, how about you for the high end spend ups? What are you looking at in terms of anybody you're prioritizing?
Yeah, I mentioned Keenan Allen, and then I do have like 50% of Chris Godwin. And then I have the 40%. I'm paying for the McCaffrey at a 40% clip. I'm not getting to Cooper Kupp or anything like that. I'm not getting to Devontae Adams. I don't think I have a share of either of them actually. Let me just confirm that. I literally actually that's not true. I've literally 5% Devontae Adams, and that's it. It is what it is, And so I'm kind of with Rody in that respect. It's that implied philosophical question. Do you play like, Booker and D'Angelo Russell, or do you play, Durant and Bruce Brown?
Right.
And sometimes, in the NFL, you could do the other one, but I don't know. Yeah, Chris Godwin is. I mean, like Tom Brady's just freaking. Obviously, he's not human, right? And he's got good weather, and you can throw on Indianapolis, and Godwin's there. I regard Godwin as his top guy. He's gonna he's gonna get there. I think that if he doesn't get 20 fantasy points, it's gonna be I'm gonna be very surprised actually if Godwin doesn't get 20 fantasy points. And Keenan Allen is just always gets freaking 15 targets. He just always does. And those look like very, very safe, high owned, plays. And you want to make the combination, which probably everybody's going to play. You play Godwin and Pittman, right? I mean,
right.
That's got to be pretty chalky combination, I suppose.
Yeah, but you could also just jump over, and it's not going to be unowned. But I saw Rody mention it in the chat a little earlier. Like, if we really get, and I love Godwin today, don't get me wrong, but like Mike Evans, if he ends up half as owned as Godwin, is almost as good a play in my opinion as Godwin is. So I like that situation. I mean, I just think it's a really good spot, and I hate paying up for quarterbacks that don't. But I actually think I could play two Tampa Bay receiving options, whether it be Evans and Gronk, or Godwin and Gronk. I do like Gronk as well, and I think you can get away with it without playing Brady. I hate paying up for these quarterbacks that don't ever run the ball. There's literally zero rushing touchdown upside. It's just really hard for me to get to.
Hey, by the way, one thing I would be remiss not to point out is that if you do want to take the stand that, to take a gamble that, what's his name, Aaron Jones doesn't play, and you want to play A.J. Dillon, if you do that, you could always, if you had to, pivot to Darrell Henderson at the end, if you like.
Or you could pivot right directly the same price to Aaron Jones too. But yes, I hear you.
Right. So, but Darrell Henderson.
Those are the two pivots, yeah.
And I don't think I would play Aaron Jones. I think that if he plays, it's going to be more of a split share. So I don't think I would play him. But hey, he's going to be 5%. So,
right.
What do you think of? Let me think. I want to ask you about another running back that we didn't mention. I don't think we mentioned. I think you did. We did actually. You talked about Miles Sanders, right?
Yeah, look, man. I don't know. Something feels fishy about a guy being that owned who
never pays off his ownership ever.
Like legitimately never does it. And I was a Miles Sanders guy. He's made me money in past seasons. This year, other than week 1 against Atlanta, which by the way, it's Atlanta, so of course you're gonna get 15 fantasy points or more against Atlanta every time if you're a running back, basically as long as you suit up. I'm just having trouble getting there a little bit, and you have Hurts takes away so much of the upside because of his rushing ability, and I feel a little bit that way with Cam Newton in relation to the spend up and I know you guys like him, but like I'm just not getting to the the chalky Christian McCaffrey. And I think if I was playing a cash game lineup, I would. I just feel like to pay that price, I don't know, it's going to be tricky for me.
Okay, I got two other running backs for you.
Keep going,
Okay, as opposed to a guy like Miles Sanders who just never pays off as chalk, let me tell you a guy who never gets played and always seems to smash, and that's Joe Mixon.
I agree with you.
I mean, he's 7,500. He's against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, again, we can argue about this, but I've seen Pittsburgh get gashed on the ground. I've just seen it happen. And Cincinnati is favored. And he could. I have him currently at 7% ownership. And he just always seems to outperform his ownership. I'll just put it that way. And then if you want another guy who, I mean, this is like super duper fancy, but you could play Melvin Gordon if you want at sub 5%.
Yeah, if it was me, I would probably lean Javonte Williams over Gordon. Okay. I did consider both those guys, but I think you have a little more explosiveness with Javonte Williams. And like I said, you're betting on this. I would try to keep that though in some sort of a game stack of some sort, because I don't think I want to do it just on its own. I understand the pricing is tempting, but like there's just a lot of guys like just because I mean, if AJ Dillon, if there's no Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon is a crushing play. And Rody, maybe you have some insight into this. Like this is your team versus my team here. There's a couple things that stand out to me in this game. One, I think the total is a lot lower than I think I would have expected to see. The other is I have no idea why the Rams are favored, and I'm a Rams fan. I literally have no idea why the Rams are favored in Green Bay in this matchup. And do you have any insight into whether you think Aaron Jones plays or not?
I'm leaning the route of no more. I took some AJ Dillon props. I got him at like, some reception props and some other stuff, yards, like 20, plus, so I took some Dillon props yesterday. I've been killing the props over the weekend.
Awesome. That's great.
Thanksgiving and NBA last night. I hit a Harden triple-double, the Jazz -13, had it all paired up, man. I had some nice stuff. I had the Alabama plus 1,000 yesterday, that last drive to get them to score and then win the game. So, so I had some big ones this week. So I'm on the AJ Dillon props. I think Jones doesn't play.
Yeah, for those of you guys that aren't in our Discord, jump in the Discord because Rody will keep that stuff firing all throughout the day. We know he's always in the Discord, and if you're nailing all of those picks, just let us know, bro. We want to get in on the action.
I try to put some more picks in there. I like the Pats today, like you said. They're favored today, right? The Patriots are favored today, right, against Tennessee. I like the money line on that game. I got a nice parlay.
Patriots are favored by 7.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Patriots I've been liking lately, so I've been trying.
Yeah, I don't think it's such a bold call anymore. I made it a few weeks ago. I didn't bet on it, but I genuinely think the way this season is playing out just feels like the Patriots are going to end up in the Super Bowl.
You know what this season is really showing? It's when Brady and Belichick were together all those years, there was all this like kind of internal debate, not internal debate, but of all the sports people saying, was it Brady or was it Belichick? And the answer is they're just both not even human. You know what I mean? They're both just awesome. And you put the two of them together, and that's how you get 1 million championships, But it wasn't, I mean, they were both great. That's the answer.
Right. No, I mean, it was the old Pat Riley, Magic Johnson thing. Right. Was it Pat Riley or Magic? And it's like, they're just awesome. Okay. They're just both awesome. Yeah. But this is the football version of that. We're going to get out of here in about 5 minutes because I got to finish building my lineups. But maybe some other takes, Rody, before we get out of here, just about who you like on this slate and maybe names we either haven't mentioned.
How about some defenses?
Okay, let's talk about some defenses. Why don't you jump to it, Chiefs? You start with the
Jaguars. All in.
I'm in on this. I love the Jaguars, but the problem is they're going to be popular. So are the Texans. Oddly enough, this is the world we live in. The Jaguars and Texans, the two most popular defenses. Duh. Like, I mean, it's just crazy that that's the way the world we live in. But it makes some sense. I really like the Bengals defense. They're going to be popular-ish as well. Sheets, who do you like today on defense?
Yeah, I mean, like all that stuff, but I prefer not to do the wait, let me answer that because I had the wrong I had the wrong team up here. Yeah, my top owned defense is the Niners actually. I have 20% Niners. And yeah, I think the Texans are going to be a little too chalky for my liking. I'll have some, but whatever. I cap my defense upside to 20%. Like I'll never take more than 20% of the defense if I can avoid it. I like the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, I like the Panthers in that game.
I wasn't ready for that Niners call on defense. That sort of caught me by surprise. That's going to be one of the lowest owned defenses I think on the slate.
Yeah, I compare that with Mitchell. I forgot to mention I do like Mitchell.
Yeah.
in that
Oh, you said it. Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah, we
I
talked about it.
I get it too. Again, San Francisco always scares me to bet on for DFS purposes, but I think this is a week where it's kind of hard to not have at least some interest. And the one thing that I would just caution people on why the defense I actually like is the Vikings. There's a chance that the Vikings defense is a little better than they're given credit for, and I've been sort of riding that train for a while, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo is.
The only thing is that when if you play against San Francisco, you're just going to get a healthy freaking dose of the running game, And
yeah, that's the only problem. Exactly, I totally agree. Yeah. That's my one fear with that too. Yeah. But then again, if you play the Niners defense, probably why they're so low owned is the perception. The best quarterback with the best touchdown to interception ratio of any quarterback in the league this year is Kirk Cousins. He hasn't been throwing picks anymore, and maybe it helps to have two of the best 10 receivers in football on your team, I guess, and one of the best 3 running backs as well. All right, Rody, how about anything else for you, like in terms of top plays, whether it be, we talked about defenses, but like from any position, like maybe somebody something you're a little higher on that we haven't touched on, or that you want to reemphasize that you really like. I by the way, I want to make a stand. I'm not going to be playing Darrell Henderson in any of my lineups either at this moment, unless I'm going to do a stack of that game, which I'm debating whether I want to even tie.
Hey, let's go over one other thing. I know you want to get out of here, but 2 running backs. I want to do 3 more running backs if you wouldn't mind. So both from the Houston game, David Johnson and Ty Johnson.
Yep.
Both of them are 4,500 below. And the other one is Tennessee has no players, but they do have to put someone out there at running back. And what do you got? The Dontrell Hilliard at 4,600. I got, again, the matchup is for Shed, And then I'll give you a 4th one. And what do you think of that other New England guy, that Ramondre Stevenson? Any of those 4 guys do anything for you? Either Johnson from the Houston game, Hilliard, or Stevenson?
The only problem I have, I like Johnson the most, Ty Johnson. Of the most of those guys. My issue with the Ramondre I think Stevenson's really good. I think Damian Harris is really good. Yeah. I can't bring myself to play a split running back share with all of these good values at running back. I am having a hard time getting to those guys. And it's weird because I just named a bunch of popular running backs that I'm going to avoid. And for me, I'm gonna end up with being over. I'm gonna be way underweight on Miles Sanders, totally off of Henderson, off of McCaffrey. I like Barkley. I like James Robinson. I'm gonna be off of Gaskin. I like Ty Johnson. These are of the popular guys. I really like the Najee Harris call that Rody made earlier. I really like Dalvin Cook. Those are the guys who I'm sort of prioritizing at running back. Rody, who are some of your favorite? Like I said, some of the favorite plays maybe we haven't mentioned. Or even if we have, just to reemphasize them.
Yeah, I think I could get more on the Mixon call that she just had. It's a low-owned play. He's been killing it, and he's got upside, so get him in your MME builds. I'm off the Henderson call that you had. I'm definitely lower exposure on him. The only thing I'm going to end up getting on Henderson, I think, more is if we hear about Aaron Jones. I think the pivot down from Dillon to Henderson is the move, so that could get me to switch some of my Dillon to Henderson.
Yeah.
So there's that. And
go ahead, Rudy.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the only thing is I keep thinking I'll just switch over to Aaron Jones, but the problem is we've seen this, and you're a Packer fan.
Split, yeah.
You're getting a ton of the work. It's not like if there's no Aaron Jones, Dillon's an awesome, freaking awesome play. But it's not like if Aaron Jones is in, that means he's as awesome a play because you don't have somebody else. You have someone else eating up all that workload, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be more split. I'd actually still hedge the match to go with Dillon more. I think Dillon could still hit some of these props, even with Jones in. I think Jones might get a limited workload. They do this a lot. They come in, Jones is going to play, and then Dillon gets a ton of the work, and Jones he's banged up. He's not playing the second half or something. We've seen that recently with Jones last year, I think, in a game where he didn't come back after coming off an injury. So just throw that out there. And then now Dillon should get a lot of the work. I think he's a smash play if Jones is out for sure too. So
yep. Yep. All right, Cheats. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, I got one more Millie Maker winner if you want. One more play.
Let's go.
Again, if you're going to play that, if you're really going to play that Houston game, you could try $3,200 Nico Collins from Houston.
I considered that one too. Yeah, I like the Millionaire Maker call for that one. That's definitely one I could get behind in a big field tournament.
Okay.
All right, Rody, how about you? Any final thoughts before we get out?
I got nothing. I gave all the good plays already.
Too many good stuff already. I know. I'm not trying to put pressure on you. I'm just throwing out there just in case there was anything else, guys. Let's crush it today. Hopefully somebody makes $1 million. We'll be in Discord all day talking about what we did right, what we did wrong, what could have happened, what should have been, and hopefully what actually is today. So good luck to everybody.
Hey, and most important, go Ravens tonight.
Go Ravens tonight for Sheets. We need to get that through, man. I mean, hey, that's we're talking about playing for $1 million. This is playing for $6 million.
I hate it. And I hate it. I think Cleveland's going to totally live in that game, but it is what it is. Yep.
It is what it is. All right, guys. Well, good luck to everybody out there, and let's crush it today. We'll be in Discord all day. Thanks, Rody. Thanks, Sheets. And for TrueDFS, I'm Bobby saying we'll see you at the top of the leaderboards. Good luck, guys.